And I'm Rod Burke for Sports Extra, joined by Tom Silverstein, who loves talking about the Green Bay Packers. Let's start off with talking about Aaron Rodgers and this new deal. It seems like the whole world is talking about it. Is this thing going to get done, and what's the holdup?
Well, I mean, it's a gigantic contract. It's the biggest contract that'll ever be done in the NFL, so it's going to take time. I don't know what the holdup is. Nobody really knows for sure, but really, you know that his biggest concern is that he doesn't keep getting leapfrogged in salary by these lesser quarterbacks. And I think finding a way to do that, the structure to do that, is probably what's taking so long.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people out there that, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but there are people that are saying, hey, this guy has had a hard time staying healthy these past few years. Do you think that's a factor into this?
No, I think they're willing to pay him, they're willing to make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And I don't think by any stretch of the imagination that they wouldn't consider that. But how they're going to structure it, what he wants, it's a big number. It's going to be a really big number, and they have to figure out how to do it.
How does that affect the team as far as building around him when you pay a player like that?
Well, it always affects your team. It's salary cap is it's not a hard cap, but it does come back and prevent you from doing some things. They were tied up against the cap this past year. However, looking to next year, they're starting to open up some cap room, and I don't think it's going to hurt them the next couple of years. Where it might start to hurt them is later on, and then especially if something were to happen to him 2-3 years down the road and then he couldn't play, then all that prorated money would come crashing down on him.
Let's talk about the backup job. You got DeShone Kizer, who they traded for, and you got Brent Hundley, who struggled last season, couldn't even throw a touchdown pass here at Lambeau. Where do you think that race is at right now?
It's too early. I mean, right now they're just splitting reps, and I haven't seen anything great DeShone Kizer threw. Had a nice series in a 2-minute drill. Hundley couldn't score. Rodgers couldn't score. I think that's something we'll find out in the exhibition games. That's where we'll know for sure. We'll see them play in practice, but really it's what happens when they have the ball in their hands and the action is live.
Isn't it a pressure for Kizer to perform since they traded a former first-round draft pick to get him?
Maybe. I think they just want a competition. They want Kizer to either bring out the best in Hundley or be better than Hundley. And whatever happens, then they figure they gain from it. But, part of that trade was also some switches in draft picks. So it wasn't just Kizer for Demarius Randall. They would really like him to perform. I mean, I think they really like him. But, he's coming off a terrible year with the Browns, so there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, he was winless. Let's talk about Jimmy Graham. How much is he going to help this offense, and how much does he help out, him and Mercedes help out Mr. Rodgers?
I think, Graham will help him out in the passing game. Lewis is kind of his prime is past, but he's a really good run blocker, so he'll help the run game some. Graham, as long as he stays healthy, as long as he can hang on to the ball, I think this is a better offense for him than Seattle because he's not going to have to line up at tight end as much. He's going to be more of a glorified, wide receiver. So it could be really big for him, but, he's getting up there in age. He doesn't run like he used to. It's going to be something to see whether he still has, some of those touchdowns that he had with New Orleans.
Let's flip the side of the ball and go on defense. Let's talk about these young corners. Which one's sticking out to you right now?
Also, I'd say kind of early. Really, you see Alexander, he can really run. They all have a little bit of something different. I guess who's really kind of stood out for me was Kevin King. He's come back from the shoulder surgery last year, and he looks like he's just ready to defend everything. He like everybody else, he's gotten beat, but I've seen him around the ball probably more than anybody else.
What about this rookie Burks? Oren Burks. What do you see out of him? There's some talk that he may get a lot of reps out of most of the rookies coming up this year.
He's a big inside linebacker who I think they'll like a lot on passing downs. Now, right now, they're kind of doing a couple of things with that. Right now, they're playing Quentin Rollins as a linebacker in their dime defense, which is kind of a surprise. That's sort of what Morgan Burnett did. Burks is just sort of a backup linebacker right now. But this will all kind of move forward as camp goes on. You know, the first 2 days you can't really tell much. It's really these guys getting to know what Mike Pettine's defense is and what's expected of them.
Last one for you. Are they deep enough at outside linebacker? Because Perry and Matthews are guys that seem to have a hard time staying on the field.
Yeah, that's a big concern. I think we're going to see them play with more of a 4-3 look than we've probably seen here in a long time. Maybe with 3 defensive linemen and then Perry or Matthews as a down lineman with this, standing up. Sort of more of a 4-3 look. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of 3-4, traditional 3-4 defense. So that kind of lessens the number of times, an outside linebacker has to be on the field. But they definitely, regardless, they got to have Matthews and Perry on the field. If those guys aren't on the field, then they're not as good a defense.
He's Tom, and I'm Rod. That's for Sports Extra. We out.